Welcome back. Now that you've taken the time to understand the kind of concepts we're going to work on for our radial design, flip your paper over and you've got your nice fresh sheet of paper. Now, that being said, we're going to start by dividing up our picture. You're going to need your pencil, a ruler, you might need an eraser as we go through to get the beginnings of this project started. So to get started, take your ruler and line up the corners of your page. All right, so I'm going to take this corner, line it up with the far corner, and I'm just going to draw a light line across my page to make a diagonal line. Then do the same thing from the other corner to the other corner. All right, now what we're going to be doing here is we are dividing our paper into equal fourths. We're also at the same time finding the center of our page. So there's our X going across our page. Now, for those of you who've watched many of my origami videos, I usually call this the origami X. It's how you make a lot of origami models. And by doing this, we're finding the center and we are finding the different parts of, or dividing up the different parts of our picture. Now I'm going to hold my ruler horizontally, make sure it goes through the center and that this edge of your ruler is lined up and parallel with the top of your page. And I just draw my horizontal line there. Switch over here to have my vertical line. I'm going to make sure it goes right through the center of my page, and I'm going to make sure that my ruler here is parallel with the edge of my paper and draw a nice line there. All right, now that line is just a little bit off and it's going to really bug me if I don't fix it. Okay, I'm going to try to be as accurate as I can here. And for those of you who are doing this, you might want to use a mechanical pencil to get started just so you can make sure you're accurate. But if not, you can use a regular pencil, that's fine too. Okay, so now we've got our paper divided into quadrants. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have it kind of divided up into eighths. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom. So we have eighths, equal eighths. All right. Now, if you look, this line here is a line of symmetry. We have a triangle here and a triangle here that are a symmetrical reflection of each other. Just like here, we have a symmetrical reflection of this one here. And then this whole half is a symmetrical reflection of the other side. So each side is symmetrically reflected, one to the next, to the next, to the next. So whatever we do in one section, we're also going to do in the next section. Now this video, I'm going to make a geometrically designed radial design. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start doing kind of the same thing in each of my quadrants, and then we'll start breaking it down into smaller bits. So I'm going to line up these two pieces here, and I'm going to draw a line there. Same thing here, and I'm going to go fairly quick. If you need to, you can pause the video to catch up with me if I'm going too quick. If you're able to keep up, that's great. Now, when you are doing this, I kind of expect that you're not going to copy exactly. Okay, once you get the overall concept of how I'm doing kind of the same thing in each one, then maybe you want to pause the video and take a moment to do kind of your own thing in each one of the quadrants rather than just following blindly so that yours looks exactly like mine. Okay, try, especially if you're in my class, you should definitely be using your own creativity to come up with your own designs. All right, so now if I kind of break down a little bit more, you can notice I have the outside square and I've rotated it and I have another square here. If I rotate again and I come back to these 2 points and I connect them, I'm going to have another square, like an inner square, that's parallel to my first square. Notice that the big X found the center here, and there's a small x which finds the center in each of the quadrants. All right, and that's going to kind of help us keep our picture, or like our little quadrants, centralized. Now I'm going to switch over here to this side and line these centers up. And I'm not pressing very hard. I can see it on the screen. I'm pressing hard enough so that you guys watching the video can see it on the screen. But I want to make sure that when I get done, for example, I can erase that line. Okay, don't press so hard that the line is like etched into the paper. All right, we don't want that. Now, I'm going to kind of continue down and take the center of these two here. What I'm starting to do is just like make a centralized composition. I'm kind of taking this square and making it smaller each time. Now, again, I'm doing it this way. You do not have to do it this way. In fact, I would prefer that you do your own thing and you do not copy me. All right. I mean, if you're at home and you're just doing this for fun and you're not in my class, you know, do whatever you want, obviously. But if you're in my class and you're doing this for the assignment, you need to come up with some of your own ideas and do your own creative thinking by taking the concept of the symmetrical reflection and going out on your own. Now, if I stop for a minute and I bring back those concepts we talked about, so far we've used nothing but straight lines, which kind of makes you see that we are using a geometric composition, right? If we've started with just straight lines, we got some zigzag lines starting, we're doing mostly geometric. We haven't done any organic or amorphous yet. We can do that later, and I'll probably come back in a second video and make one that's more organic. But coming out here now, you can kind of see if I continue even further, I'm just going to keep going with this concept of the square and making the square smaller and smaller. And then I'm going to start connecting a variety of different lines just to like see what we can come up with. The beautiful thing about a radial design is, you know, you do one step differently and your design is going to look completely different than your neighbors. Even if you followed most of the same steps, you're going to really come up with different things. By just changing one or two lines, your whole composition may look completely different. All right, so now we've kind of like angled that square and we're kind of continuing to make it smaller and smaller. Now at some point, thinking about the spaces we've created lots of triangles that are going back and forth in between each other. And if we think about how we want to organize those triangles, we might think about adding more triangles inside of those. Maybe we want to start adding some other shapes to kind of balance out our triangles and squares. Maybe we want to take the triangles and squares and start dividing things up to make, you know, diamonds or something. So if I stop right there, you can really kind of getting that triangle and square feel. What happens if I take these corners here and I line it up with that first top line, and I get like more of a taller acute triangle here, like this. Now if I do this here, I need to do it in each one of the other areas so that I have a symmetrical design, so that I've got that radial symmetry continuing. All right, you want to make sure that whatever you do in one area, you do in another area. Okay, and I'm doing it at the top now. And the thing is, once you get started on this, the top and the bottom and every other side should really start to follow the same program and look the same, so that the design is symmetrical all the way around. That's why it's called a radial design. It's kind of following the radius and the design is symmetrical all the way around. Okay, now I'm going to stop here. By now, if you've followed this far, you should kind of get the idea of how that symmetrical design is working. Right now, it's very geometric. I've kind of taken these pieces here and made them all symmetrical. Now, in the next video, I'm going to come back and I'm going to have a couple different designs that we can work with, and I'm going to work in a video between that kind of silently and just like fill in a bunch of spaces, so that even if you have copied this, you can stop watching this video, you can continue with the idea on your own so that yours deviates from what mine looks like, and then we can go from there and we can all kind of have our own design. So thanks for watching this video, and make sure that as you move on to the next parts, you're thinking of those concepts here. If you want to pause the video, you're thinking of these concepts in your overall design. And that is how you start your radial design.